Okay, I'm back. 8th letter. Where some proof confirm my hypothesis. Hypothesis. Nevertheless, I was not satisfied. I kept asking myself if the tree was conducting electricity to and from the earth and atmosphere. What proved that this function, and as an honest recompense, gives a right to life and make it an indispensable condition to life. I therefore continued my experiment. In order to relieve my heart of this burdensome thought. I did the following. I connected the top. Including several aerial branches of the tree with some heavy insulated copper wires. I then connected those to an old roll of telegraphic wire buried in the proximity of the root system in humid ground. I had created a short circuit. I reasoned that these wires were better conductor of electricity than the trunk and branches, and that the electricity would follow these in preference. Get on my nerves, these little things. I don't want to kill them. Don't want to cause harm. Let's go play somewhere else. Go check out some other toes somewhere else. In this case, the tree would no longer serve as an electric conductor. Therefore, it would not be able to accomplish its sacred mission. If my hypothesis was right, the sap would not rise and the tree would not be accomplish its mission and therefore not have the right to life. Here's what my experiment confirmed. First, I noticed that the vegetation slowed down. The leaves, having become incapable to function with their points as required by nature, could not by this fact assume their chlorophyll functions. The sap went up only in a rather slow fashion and then the tree died. I must confess that it was the first and only death of a tree that gave me rejoicing. With this proof in hand, I spent many long moments meditating on this discovery. It was answering my question and revealing a law of nature on which life itself depends. I then multiplied my experiences, my reflections, and my consultations in the art of nature by exposing the problem to varied situations, and the resulting conclusions have always been identical. The rising of the sap was proven the result of the electric phenomena I had discovered. The sacred mission was definitely true, and my mind was no longer bothered by problematic questions. My hypothesis was very exact. The 9th letter. Certain plants do not have any leaves, and yet they must still rise vertically. The sap must rise under the effect of electricity. Every plant has sap. They have to stay humid. They're not dried. Even the grass, everything has humidity in it. If it doesn't have water or sap or something, it's gonna die. Dried, died. The same word almost. A lot of things make sense. That book is give me a great insight. I was wondering a lot of stuff. A bit less now. I'm even more amazed now. Certain plants do not have any leaves, and yet they must earn their living. Therefore, nature helped by giving them sharp needles. The cactus, the abri surge, and numerous other cacti and desert plants for dry habitats. The drier the soil, the more numerous and sharp are the points. Wheat, barley, rye, and in general all the grain plants, do they not need those beautiful points? These lightning rods that dominate their ears in order to assure perfect vertically of their fruit, standing well above the leaves. Certain vegetation cannot and must not rise above the level of the water. Therefore, their leaves are hardly pointed. Isn't it so of the water lily, the watercress? Other plants like the clover, the pastane, the dichondra, all have very few points because they have to stay close to the earth. I could tell you so many more things that I have heard from the plants, either by lending an ear to the sky or to the ground. That's it. We look with our eyes shut. However, remember, you too can hear all these things. You too can hear all these things. All you have to do is listening. For sure, you can reject my theory by bringing up a few cases that seemingly could demolish this hypothesis. But I could answer that the complexity is such that if the answer is not always available to your expectation, the rule is nevertheless confirmed. 10th letter. You may want to read this more slowly than my previous letters, but I invite you sincerely to read it nevertheless. If the currents of conduction pumping the negative electricity away from the earth are variable depending on climate, season, hour, the degree of conductivity of the atmosphere, the eminently powerful and variable influences of other planets such as the moon, the sun, the multiple atmospheric conditions, the resistance of different soils, the number of the sharpness of different points that are presented, and many more. Then the currents of conductivity sending the negative electric charges that go in the inverse direction, such as those dropped on Earth during a storm, are also available for many different reasons. Let me explain. The cumulonimbus clouds are not all equal in importance, nor are they spread over the earth in the same manner all at the time, nor are they equally charged with electricity, and their attitudes vary quite diversely. The earth is pretty well set to work in concert with these clouds, depending on how many points it puts at their disposal. Various areas on Earth, the charges and discharges of the colossal terrestrial condenser Earth can vary from 0 to the maximum, even in different areas of the Earth in the same instant, but they balance the equilibrium. The electric equilibrium of the Earth must be maintained in permanence. The requirement is that stormy days must render to the earth as much as negative electricity as moment of blue sky have offered in its positive charge. This must be done constantly, but these constant exchanges do not happen in the same areas. In order to facilitate the comprehension of this phenomenon in action, let us imagine an earth such as the earth, but limiting in its size to the area of France. It would be necessary then that the constant influence of stormy days be balanced by constant influence of blue sky days. This results in equilibrium for the total Earth.